Hello. Okay, so I'm supposed to be on maternity leave, but sometimes every once in a while you just see something that is so egregious and so offensive. And I have just had enough out of Amy Schumer for a while now. I mean, if there's a picket sign anywhere, Amy Schumer picks it up. She just is like, I have to be outside screaming about something. My life is overprivileged and amazing, and I have to be upset. But I'm not going to allow this because I'm going to speak up for Black Americans. This woman got a megaphone today and decided to speak out about the Roe v. Wade overturning and had the audacity to correlate it to slavery. Okay, this is a Hollywood trope almost. The white, wealthy women in Hollywood love to basically say, I either get what I want or I'm going to correlate it to slavery. This is their thing, right? It's like, if I don't get what I want, I'm going to say that it's just like slavery, or else like it's wrong and I need to get what I want. Until you give it to me, I'm going to use Black people. I'm going to use the pain of the past. I'm going to use racism. And I'm going to call something racist that has absolutely nothing to do with race until I get what I want. Amy Schumer did this today. She got on a platform and said that the reversal of Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court is exactly what slaveholders would have wanted. Makes entirely no sense. Obviously, abortion did not exist, as a clinical service back when slaves were alive. Back when we had slavery in America, pardon. And yet she's using this because she's being whiny and she's being bratty, and she thinks that it's acceptable to harness Black pain to get what she wants. And this is similar to what we saw during Black Lives Matter. Tons of money raised. None of it went to the Black community. But damn if every white person didn't put a Black square on their profile and find this way to pretend that they understood the struggle of Black Americans. So let's just first off give you a historical lesson. If you are today deciding that you want to donate to Planned Parenthood on the back of what happened today, then you need to be told that you are donating to a racist organization, okay? The history of Planned Parenthood is never going to change no matter how hard liberals try to obscure it. It was created by a woman that hated Black Americans. It was initially called the Negro Project. She put it together because she was a eugenicist and she did not want Black Americans to procreate. Not just Black Americans, by the way, also people that were from Southeast Europe, that we were getting a ton of immigrants during the progressive era, and a bunch of eugenicists got together and said, if these Italians and these, at the time, Germans and these people in Eastern Europe and these Black people continue to have babies, it's going to dumb down our race. In fact, the most read book at that time, the most popular book at that time was called The Passing of the Great Race. It was written by a man named Madison Grant, and it spelled out from a scientific perspective, science, trust the science, that unless they did something, you were going to be producing a dumber breed of people, that the races were going to be dumbed down. In came Margaret Sanger, right? A progressive. Yes, a left person who spoke in front of the Ku Klux Klan's women's gathering, the wives of the Ku Klux Klan's gathering, and petitioned for abortion. She wanted abortion because she thought this was a good mechanism to get rid of undesirables, as she called them, undesirables, unfit. They also included mentally challenged people that were undesirable. This was going on at the same time as other extreme measures to make sure that Black people were not procreating, like the Mississippi appendectomies, where they were telling women that they needed Black women that they needed their appendix removed. And in fact, what they were actually doing was making them infertile. Okay, so you have to imagine my surprise when this woman, Margaret Sanger, created something so horrid like Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood clinics exist majority in minority communities to this day. She has been successful in what she set out to do. We know that they have killed more than 18 million Black babies. We know that the Black community, Black America, our population is not going up right now, right? She has been successful. She's arguably one of the most successful progressives in history in terms of setting out to what she wanted to do. And she's so successful that Planned Parenthood got into the classrooms in the 1970s and said, rather than even hiding, obscuring what we're doing, we can actually actively teach women to want their abortions, to teach poorer people to want their abortions, to brainwash them. Planned Parenthood began an effort in the 1970s to get into the school system. They're still there. This is when sex education classes started, okay? To teach people that it's their right to get an abortion, that they should actually be out there arguing for their own genocide. The Black population today would be double what it is today if it were not for Planned Parenthood. So consider Amy Schumer, who is getting up on stage saying to people, you need to donate to Planned Parenthood. to deal with this, because this is exactly what the slaveholders would have wanted, a reversal of Roe v. Wade. It's so diluted and it's so kooky, and it borderlines on mental illness, in my opinion, because you are relying on Black Americans to be so stupid about their own history that they should be celebrating the reversal of something that helped eugenicists, right? It is absolutely ridiculous, by the way, if you are pro-choice and you are still out there saying that I don't want a man to speak for what happens to my uterus. Okay, then you would be celebrating today, because 7 white men decided on Roe v. Wade. There wasn't a single woman who decided on Roe v. Wade. What are you talking about? Literally, what are you saying? Do you just not care about history? Do you not study civics? Do you not even know what Roe v. Wade is? Are you just kind of watching the cultural arguments? Are you following your favorite celebrities who are saying my body, are you following Miley Cyrus eating an abortion cake? Is that your educational bandwidth for what you know about this issue at all? It was decided by 7 white men arbitrarily. Women never got to vote on this or decide on it. If you want women to actually have a choice on this, then you're going to be happy that the Supreme Court has sent it back to the states, because it's unconstitutional. There is nothing in the Constitution that enshrines your right to abort a baby. How could there be? This was created by eugenicists. This entire program was created by people who did not want certain people to reproduce, right? It's racist in its origins for 1,000 different reasons. It's not only just racist, it's, as I said, was meant to attack people that were disabled. So I just don't know where people get off on these arguments. If you're going to be pro-choice, be authentic, by the way, about being pro-choice. And how you can be authentic about being pro-choice is by acknowledging that the reasons that most girls get abortions is because they're terrified and they're being peer pressured, okay? My first introduction to abortion, a family member of mine got pregnant when she was 16 years old, and the entire family, she did not want to have an abortion. The entire family pressured her to get one, okay? So much for my body, my choice, when in reality, these are scared kids that are being pressured either from their family members or being threatened from boyfriends who say their lives are going to be ruined and they don't want to take care of a child. That is the majority of abortions that are happening. I know this. I know 6 people that have had abortions. I have another family member who her boyfriend at the time wanted her to get an abortion, and he became domestically violent, breaking into her home. I remember what that night was like, how traumatizing it was, because he did not want her to have her son, and she wanted it. These women that are getting abortions are not Amy Schumer, overprivileged, I just want to maintain my acting career, or whatever it was that Michelle Williams said. These are women that are operating under duress, that are terrified because they have teachers that are peer pressuring them, and an education system that is telling them that they will be absolutely nothing unless they get an abortion, A. B, they have a threatening boyfriend that's domineering and telling them that they want nothing to do with this baby, I have nothing to do with this kid if you don't get an abortion, which is a daunting idea for a woman to be a single mother, B. Or C, parents that are peer pressuring them, telling them they're going to ruin the rest of their lives. That's the majority of abortions. There's not majority rape victims, okay? Which is such an extreme argument that you only take because you can't come up with any valid arguments, because you know that what you're defending, this industry that was built by eugenicists, and this industry that has murdered millions upon millions of innocent children, 45 million plus babies that would be alive, because you can't defend it. So you come up with extreme arguments. Be real. If you're going to be pro-choice and you have the audacity to be pro-choice, then be real. Then say it, then say it with some air on your chest. Say it with some hair on your chest, right? Get out there and say, I am pro-choice. I understand it's a baby. I understand that it actually is something that is harmful to women. I understand that most women that get abortions come out of it emotionally traumatized and are hurt. And some of them then become even more radical because they haven't addressed the hurt from their first abortion. They don't want to acknowledge what they've done. So it's easier for them to pick up a picket sign and go to DC and protest outside of Brett Kavanaugh's place because they don't want to acknowledge what they've done. Admit that's the normal circumstance. Admit that. And also admit that these women are, just like I was for the 25 plus years that I was pro-choice, are brainwashed before they even are able to think or understanding what they're supposed to be as women, right? But which is nurturing our spiritual, our spiritual bodies, our spiritual necessities are to nurture as women. It is what makes us so beautiful and so unique. Becoming a mother has been the biggest gift to my life. I mean, as a woman, you will be refined by this experience. You will become a superhero because of this experience. All of that is being stripped away because before we even have the ability to grow up, we are being brainwashed into a cult, because that's what it is. I really believe that I was a part of a cult when I was a pro-choice, and that cult was designed for me by Planned Parenthood. As soon as I got into school, as soon as I got into a sex ed class, before I understood anything about the actual science against it, I was a I was in a cult member. That's what it is. Most of these women are in a cult, and they don't see it because when you're in the cult, you don't understand it. And when you start to wake up and you realize that it's all lies, that it's not a clump of cells, that I saw my son's hands and arms moving in ultrasound at 7 weeks, that I knew his personality when he was sitting in my belly, and I was right about his personality. And I kept telling my husband exactly who he was. When you start understanding the miracle of life, how it will soften you, how it will enlighten you, how it will enrich you, how it will refine you, you will realize that as a mother, nothing is impossible, that is your superhero. You know, that is what makes you a superhero. Anyways, I'm ranting because I'm just mortified. I'm also probably a little hormonal, just sitting here listening to people be ridiculous in their arguments and knowing, sadly, that in liberal states, what's going to happen now? They're going to pass extreme abortion laws. They're going to be like, oh, well, you can now have abortion when your child's 5, because that's what they have to do. And in conservative states, they will ban abortion. Women will get on a bus and they'll go get one if they want one. But what's going to be interesting is the data that comes out of these cities. You're going to realize that when women are no longer brainwashed and taught to believe that abortion is just like birth control, they will change how their relationships with men. And we have gotten beyond in America. We are like no other country on earth in terms of abortion. We are actually like North Korea when it comes to abortion. My husband is English. He's mortified when he sees American women. He goes, I've never seen anything like this. Women marching in the streets demanding a right. This is not the way that people even discuss abortion in Europe. It's barbaric what we're doing here in America, threatening to kill Supreme Court justices because you want a right to be able to kill a child. Listen to what we're saying here. Like, this is not who we are as women. This is not what we are meant to be as women. This is not as God designed us. And you know deep down that that is true. And that is the last thing that I will say. Amy Schumer, you are just, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what to do with you. I guess you know what you are? You are Chuck Schumer's niece. You are Chuck Schumer's niece, girl. Goodbye.